If you've started an insurance agency and you're thinking of more just not being an agent but an ownership, let's talk about the 5 ways that you can streamline everything to make your business simpler. If you're an agency owner or you're an agent and you're working towards ownership, you're going to find that there's some stressful pieces of this industry. And I want to go over the 5 ways that's going to help you simplify your business to make everything more streamlined. The first way is to simplify your processes. So simplifying that is essentially what we just said, streamline everything. Have a process into place to where when you have something come up, you know what you're doing. Now, this might sound confusing, and it does get very difficult when you start writing down all of these pieces and these strategies that you've got. Or if you look over at my board here, there's a crud ton of stuff that is on there that will go over all of the maps out and if this and then that. But to be honest with you, all you have to do is write down what you do every day. If you get a person in to quote them and you say these things and then you take them to this next step. That's essentially creating what's called the SOP, standard operating procedures, but you can tweak them as you go. So that's the benefit of having that ability to streamline what you're doing from day to day. The second way is to focus on what we call a niche or a niche, is basically you've got a ton of products you can sell. Technically, if you're in the P&C industry, you can do home warranties, you can sell home insurance, car insurance, boat insurance, motorcycle insurance. There's life insurance you can start getting into. You can even do annuities and start recommending financial advice. There's retirement plans for some of you. And so there's a ton of different things. The obvious is home and auto. That's where 90% of everybody lives and does. That's why the people that sell motorcycle insurance focus on that, do really well because they've niched it down to a product. If you talk to any business strategist, they're going to say make packages. Technically, it's very difficult because we only have the home, auto, and the insurance carriers that we work with are the ones that make those packages. They're available, so I would focus on that type, and what I personally focus on for our agency is packages for home, auto, and umbrella. That's the type of client that we're looking for. If they've got a boat, great. If they've got a motorcycle, great. That's just one other add-on to it, but my main focus is the home, auto, and umbrella piece. The third way is my favorite, which is technology, and the importance of building technology into your agency. There's the chat GPT, I get that. That's not yet there. So there's pieces of the AI that's coming down the road that might help us down the road. If you want the answer to that, just go to Microsoft. If you can hire an IT guy to figure out the hundreds of different platforms that they've got in Microsoft, it will automate 90% of what you want to do to a point. You've got to build it and pay someone to do that. But what we're saying is streamline to make it simple. So for the new person, you need to make ways to follow up on things that you regularly do. And if you normally on day 5 make another phone call, or day 5 send another email to a client or a potential client, then you can streamline that and make it automated. Automating every process that you can not only helps you have more time and availability, but it helps the service team and the sales team and anyone that you add to that business. If you've got those standard operating procedures that we mentioned in point 1 built into the technology here in point 3, then you've got some paths that you can go down. The fourth way to simplify your business is to have a strategy. Kind of what we mentioned there is you want the home, auto, whatever you're choosing for your niche, but strategize on how you're going to do that type of business. Clearly, marketing is going to be the win of everything. If you can market well, get a good return on your investment on marketing, then that's going to help. If you're not, you're just going to buy leads, and maybe you'll figure that out to where you do get a really good return rate, which we do. We actually have low sales, but for the cost to the value, it's worth it, right? So it's a lot more upfront work, a lot of dialing on the phone, stuff like that. Those pieces we've streamlined. We've taken those standard operating procedures, plugged them into an automation, and now we've streamlined that process. But it's the communication as well. It's that communication of what to say when. It doesn't have to be robotic in exactly the same way. Each person's different. Finding out that path that you can with those standard stamping points for people that are working and teaching others to do so, you want them to understand, here's the path, here's the thought, here's what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. The fifth way to streamline or simplify your insurance agency or your business is to focus on your service department. If you watch anything out there, any type of business type of video, they say the delivery of the product is what matters. In our industry, in P&C, it's a little bit different. The delivery is done on the sale. We give you your policy, you give us money, and it goes through the carrier, and hopefully you never call us in the next 5 years. But that's not where it should end. The next spot is to have service take over and help build that relationship for you. They don't need you until they have a claim, and that's your chance to shine. But if they never stay with you long enough, hopefully to never have a claim, but if they do, then you need to be available. Your service team is to keep connected with that person. You can, but then now you're busy. You've kind of broken what I think our standard operating procedure would be, which is to keep them connected to everybody. I want them to know that the service team is there to help with changing red car to blue car when there are questions on a policy or billing issues, versus the sales agent is really geared and trained to focus on the coverages you should carry, let alone if you have a claim, that's your person that's going to back you up in that event. So they're going to be in your corner to help you move to that next piece where it really shines that your agent. That person should also be reaching out at least every renewal to check if anything's changed. Keep the relationship going. Now I get it. This might not work in the churn and burn strategy where you're really just focused on getting the next client, get the next client, get the next client, throw them in, not interested, moving all that stuff around. I'm doing a dance here. It's called the churn and burn strategy. So that piece is, it doesn't work there. Like if you're trying to build an agency, it's kind of that old school model mixed with the new technology and the new model, which is the hybrid that I'm building, at least with my partner and I. That's the focus that we both have. We don't want to just churn and burn. Yeah, there's money there. Can you do it? Sure, absolutely. Stressful. There's a lot of losses. There's a lot of loss ratio. You're fighting with carriers to give you more money. They're fighting because your loss ratio is high and your cancellations is high. Your retention's horrible, but you're still always writing new business. So they're going to keep you in that wheel mix. You're going to be able to franchise it and build kind of a brand off of it. But eventually, you'll deteriorate the brand over time, in my opinion. The hybrid style is kind of taking that old come into our office, let's have some cookies, let's have some coffee, let's talk insurance. Hey, how's your mom doing? How's your cousin doing? Are they coming in for insurance yet? Like building that doesn't really exist anymore because the age groups, they don't want to take the time to go into an office. So you've got to build that almost digitally, the handshake over the phone or the handshake over just an automation. I'll be honest, I sell more policies because my automation sends a text message that I completely forget to send, but it's so valuable. And I always cringe when I think of sending it because I'm like, oh, is this too direct? And it says, hey, do you have time to talk about your insurance? That's literally the only message that I send. But because it's on the right day, at the right time, we've had some sort of connection, it gets that response. And that response, more often than not, is yes, I do have time. So then I have to pick up the phone and call them right at that moment because they're available. Those are my 5 strategies or steps that I would recommend anyone takes to simplify your business. If you're in the industry, insurance, P&C, health, life, whatever the case is, you're looking to grow an agency, those are the pieces that you really have to focus on if you're going to do that hybrid model that we talked about. If you're curious more of what I'm talking about as far as the agency, I'll put up the video I made about doing a startup or a scratch agency. That's kind of where we've started and where we're at now as we're growing our current agency. If you're more interested in just seeing what we do, here's my day in the life where I kind of followed myself around with the camera like an odd guy. So feel free to check either of those out. I'm Mark W. Flockhart. I'll see you soon.